Alright. Welcome to another episode of the Hardcore MMA Fan Show. Today we're doing another book review. This makes our second one. This book is about the Gracies, the first family of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and the book is called The Gracie Way.
Yeah. The Gracie Way is an awesome book. Highly recommend it. Pretty much shows you anything that you want to know or need to know about the history of the Gracie family.
It starts off with Carlos Gracie, who learned Japanese Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, he's the first Gracie to learn Jiu-Jitsu.
And it goes all the way up to Enzo Gracie. In between, you got Halio, you got Carlson, you got Holes, you got Horion, Carlos Jr., Hickson. A lot of the fans will probably know Hickson. Hoyce, Euler, and Enzo.
Yeah. So I mean, you pretty much got the people who really, took Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, to a whole nother level. And pretty much, when you're reading this, you're reading the beginning of MMA in our reality.
Yeah. Even back in Carlos's time, he fought in what they call NHB, no-holds-barred fights.
Yeah.
They didn't call it mixed martial arts back then. It started all the way back then, even before they started doing their thing.
Rules were a lot different. The technique just kind of just developed from there. Everybody contributed something. My favorite read in the book is about Holes. I think Holes contributed a lot. Most of the greatest will tell you that Holes was the best out of the entire family. Holes was he was pretty much the first Gracie to incorporate wrestling and some judo and stuff into it, and kind of just added from other martial arts, and he just developed a good style. And if you find out that he was pretty much Hickson's main instructor, I don't want to tell you too much about it, but he's very interesting read. He was Carlos's son, but he was raised by Elio. He's probably my favorite part of the book, actually.
Yeah, and each family member that has their own section, and they would ask who they thought was the best in the family, and they always said it was Holes. Even Hickson said it.
Yeah.
Holes was better than he was.
Yeah.
The reason you may not heard a lot about him is because he died when he was 35 years old in a hang gliding accident.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed reading about him. I didn't know a whole lot about him before the book, but it was really interesting. My favorite story, or my favorite section, was about Halio. Halio was he was the first Gracie to contribute the leverage aspect of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, to move your opponents around, not so much using strength, but using technique. Mm-hmm. The reason that he came up with this was because, one, he was a little skinny, frail guy.
Yeah.
Carlos wouldn't let him train with him until he was 14, and what happened was Carlos didn't come, and he was late for a class, and Halio was there, and the guy, he just taught Halio. Halio just taught the whole class without Carlos there, and the guy wanted him to teach him, and from then on he was an instructor. He was very interesting, very wise person. He lives to be a ripe old age, and he's sitting and writing about humanity. I mean, he's been around for so long and done so much.
Yeah.
For the sport and just for people.
Yeah, you don't realize exactly how famous Elio Gracie was in Brazil during that time unless you read this book. You'll really see what he contributed. I mean, he was a very famous person in Brazil.
The whole Gracie family was.
Yeah.
It's really, right up there with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu part of it. It had a lot to do with family, and they were really big on family. Yeah. As the book progresses, as they go into different generations of Gracie, you kind of see that they kind of spread out, but they still talk about family. They go try to visit each other.
Yeah.
But once they got spread out, they opened up schools in America. They opened up more schools in Brazil. But it's a very interesting read, and if you want to learn about the history of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, this is definitely the book that you'd want to read. Mm-hmm. Very interesting. It starts. It even gives you the history of the UFC. A little bit with
Horion.
With Horion, talking about how Horion got the UFC started. I mean, if you enjoy reading, and you enjoy Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you enjoy history, this is definitely a book to pick up, and it's The Gracie Way. So thanks for watching, and we got a couple other books lined up that we're going to read, and we'll give you reviews on those.